Tonight I am seeing the new Marlon Wayans movie, A Haunted House 2. And I'm going to surprise you and say that out of the 3 movies that are coming out this weekend that I'm going to be seeing and reviewing, this is the one that I am, oddly enough, the most interested in seeing. I saw the first one only earlier this week because I knew that the sequel was coming out soon. And it's not that bad. I mean, it's still not a good movie by any means. But when you compare it to movies like the Scary movies, or like even the first Scary movie, or Epic Movie, or Meet the Spartans, or the Starving Games. I actually haven't seen most of those, but I have definitely seen the Starving Games, and I've seen a bunch of the Scary movies. It's much better than those movies. It's probably one of the best spoof movies that have been made in this whole cluster of bad spoof movies. Like by far. And again, it's still not a good movie, but it's not a good movie more in the sense that it just kind of loses steam after a while, which is really weird. Because it has a decent start, and it has some jokes that made me laugh. I mean, I remember when I was watching it, I was like, dude, Forrest, stop laughing. What are you doing? This is a terrible movie. Stop laughing. But oddly enough, yeah, it made me laugh a few times. But around the halfway point, it just, like, it lost itself. It stopped being funny. Because you kind of got what the joke of the movie was, that they were black, and it usually happens to white families, these found footage movies. But I mean, Marlon Wayans he's not a bad, he's like Tyler Perry. He's not a bad actor, but he's just been in a lot of crap. Actually, I think he works much better when he plays a straight man. Like, he's not that funny unless he's reacting to stuff that's, like, really ridiculous. Like in the first movie when he gets run over by his girlfriend or something. His reaction to that was really funny. So it did have its moments. The first one had its moments, and I haven't read any reviews for the second one because it hasn't, I guess they didn't screen it for critics or whatever, because they knew it would get panned anyway. But I mean, I'm assuming it's gonna get panned, because that's what happens to these spoof movies, and a lot of them deserve it. I didn't quite think that the first one deserved, like, the 10% or whatever it had on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, it's not that it's any good, but it's not on the same level as the other movies that I mentioned. And I feel like this one could be more the same, just from what I've seen in the trailers. Like, it seems like it's almost the same movie. And that could work to its advantage, or it could work to its disadvantage. Probably more to its disadvantage, though. Like, I mean, my expectations for it are not very high. And because of that reason, it can only surprise me, I'm hoping. But yeah. Haunted House 2. Yay! Can't wait. I'll see you after the movie. It wasn't as good as the first one. What do you want from me? Haunted House 2 is Haunted House 2. If you liked the first one, you might like this one. If you didn't like the first one, you're not gonna like this one. It's the same stupid crap, except maybe dumber. Maybe more stupid. There's not even a whole lot to say about it. It's a stupid movie. It's unbelievably stupid. It's probably one of the worst movies I've seen so far this year. It seems futile to even talk about it because it's freaking Haunted House 2. I mean, it gets to a point where it's like, what is there even to say about it? what revolutionary thing can I say about Haunted House 2? I don't know. The whole time I was watching it, I realized how good the first one was. Not that it was good, but it was better than this. I just kept going through my mind. The biggest difference between the first one and this one, aside from the plot, the characters, the setting, the jokes, and pretty much everything. Not even all the jokes. Some of the jokes were the same. But the biggest difference was that in the last movie, in the first Haunted House film, at least they stuck to the concept of having the whole thing shot like in, like the whole thing is a found footage film. And that's what that was the biggest strength of the first movie. If you want to call it if you want to say that movie had any strengths, that was the biggest strength of it. It had the feeling of a found footage movie, and that's what made the funny parts funny. What few funny parts there were. This movie didn't stick to that idea at all. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. So the biggest thing is that it just felt jarringly inconsistent, but it didn't even have that going for it. So it didn't feel like it was trying to say anything like the first one did. This one just felt like it was a spoof movie. I got annoyed by this one way more than the first one, too. The first one I just got kind of tired of after a while. This one I was annoyed with after the 10-minute mark until the credits rolled. I was just annoyed. Not that, I hate it more than any other movie I've ever seen, or even that it's the most annoying movie I've ever seen. If it had been that, it would have at least been worth noting. But it was annoying, and the biggest reason it was annoying because more so than the other movie, this one was pretty much one joke, which is I'm a black guy. That gets really old. Okay, it does. There's only so many ways that you can make me laugh with I'm a black guy and this is how black guys are different from white guys. You can make me laugh at that for maybe 2 minutes if you're a coworker with me and we're talking about stupid stuff during a break from work. That's about as much time as you can give the I'm a black guy and this is how I'm different from you joke. That's as much time as you can give me with that. After that, I'm just going to be annoyed. So I was annoyed by this film. And I mentioned that it was a 10-minute mark because I remembered it felt like half an hour or 40 minutes had gone by. I looked down at my watch, 10 minutes. 10 minutes! I couldn't believe how slow this freaking movie was. Slow's not exactly the right word because the editing is just so, ridiculously haphazard and, jolting from moment to moment that it's not really the right thing to say. It felt slow. But each joke took, it felt like 5 minutes of screen time per joke. It's Marlon Wayans is having sex with a wooden puppet for a really long time. And it was kind of amusing for 30 seconds, but he's doing it. It's gotta be a 5-minute scene, which is a long time for a movie, especially for a comedy movie, and especially for a spoof movie. It felt like they didn't know when the joke should stop. Yeah, it's like if you've ever known that guy who had a funny joke once, and he didn't know when to stop it, he just kept going with it. It's a whole movie about that one guy. Every joke is like that. Except that they're not even funny to begin with, so it's just like, it's just painful. Yeah, it's painful. It's not the most painful movie I've ever had to sit through. But a couple in the movie theater, or at least one person in the movie theater, did walk out during this movie. So, yeah. And the people in this movie theater, you can tell that they were the audience that would go see the Marlon Wayans spoof movies anyway. And they didn't even laugh that much at the movie. It was like a handful of people in the theater would laugh about once every 10 minutes or so. And actually, I thought I was able to get in a little bit early to this movie. And when I walked in, there was only one other person in the theater. So I didn't think there were that many people in the movie until one joke, and I can't remember which one it was because I didn't laugh at it, but one joke toward the end of the movie got a big laugh from everyone. And that was the first time I had heard everyone laugh in the theater. And I was like, oh crap, there were a lot more people in this movie than I thought there were. So it seems like even the audience who would normally go to these movies weren't having that good of a time. Well, maybe they were having a good time, but they weren't laughing as much as you would expect. So the movie's dumb. You probably will know that going in. I mean, it's the type of movie where if you don't know what to expect from this movie, I really don't know how to help you. Like, if you have no idea what you're getting yourself into before going to see Haunted House 2, I can't do anything for you. It's just bad and stupid. It's a spoof movie that it's not even as good. Like, it's still better than some of the other spoof movies I've seen, but it's still not good enough in any regard to recommend to anyone ever to see, unless, like, you're that person that likes those types of movies without question. And if you are, I kind of don't even want to know you. No offense or anything, but if you're that type of person that finds these types of movies hilarious, I don't know what to do. Oh, man. So the movie's not good. The acting is bad. Everything about it's bad. Marlon Wayans, actually, I will give this for him, if nothing else. He's having a really good time. Marlon, if you wanted to see this movie anyway, like, if you like seeing bad movies, if you're like me and you like to go see bad movies, Marlon Wayans is having fun throughout this whole thing. So if nothing else, you could see it for that. And I'm trying really hard to find something to compliment this movie about. And I'm running out of things to say already. But, I mean, if nothing else, yeah, Marlon Wayans, he's having a blast while he's doing this movie. That's, like, really obvious. His performance isn't good. Like, it's not even as good as in the last movie. It's like I said in the intro, when he's doing the straight man, which he rarely does, and he almost does not at all in this movie, when he's doing the straight man, and he gets some laughs. In this movie, he never does the straight man, though. He never does the straight man performance, so he doesn't even get those laughs in this movie. At least for me, I didn't even laugh once. I might have chuckled once at one joke, but I can't even remember what it was. And that was it. That was the one time that I snickered at something that happened. But it was fun to watch Marlon Wayans having fun. So you might see it for that. Of course, this is a spoof movie, so there were a lot of like references to other horror films, especially the found footage films and The Conjuring from last year. I think that's why they made this movie already anyway, because The Conjuring came out and it was so popular and it was so good, and they were like, well, we gotta cash in on The Conjuring. So there's like a third of the movie that's only spoofing The Conjuring. And it doesn't even do it well, which is a shame. Like when a spoof movie doesn't even spoof its subject matter well, it's kind of depressing, because you see the jokes that like they could have made and they didn't make, and it kind of makes you like annoyed just for the fact that it's like, dude, I could have done better than this. Why? What's wrong with you? So yeah, that's a haunted house too. It's a lot like the first one, only nowhere near as good. Not even like as fun. Like the first one, I'm not gonna say that the first one was smart, but it was smart in the fact that it made good use of what it was spoofing, in that it set itself up as a found footage spoof movie, and it stuck to that throughout the whole movie. And when Marlon Wayans was doing The Straight Man, it was working. This movie doesn't do any of those things, so it's actually a really bad sequel. Which is weird to think, because you wouldn't expect to have that kind of reaction to a movie like this, but it's not a good sequel. It's like, it doesn't have the thought process or the spirit or the integrity of the first movie at all, so it's just kind of worthless. It makes me feel like I'm giving the first one more praise than I really want to, because the first one wasn't good either, but it was way better than this. But yeah, if you want to see a haunted house 2, hey, you know what you're getting yourself in for. If you have no idea what you're getting yourself in for, don't see it. If you're kind of on the fence about it, don't see it. But if you, like I said, if you're like me and you like to go to the movies and you like to see bad movies, see it. I mean, Marlon Wayans has a lot of fun. It's not funny, but it is fun to watch another actor have fun, even if he's acting badly. I mean, that's the appeal of most of the Nicolas Cage movies. Like, even if it's not good, even if his performance isn't good, he's having a good time, so you might have a good time. And even only might, you probably will still think it's painful. And that's a haunted house too. There's nothing else I can say about it. I'll give it a second. If something else comes to mind, I'll say it, and I don't think it will. It didn't. I'll see you next time. Have a good time at the movies.